Today we are joined by Penelope Lepeudry. Penelope is Managing Director at Alvarez Marsal in Geneva, Switzerland. She has more than 20 years of experience helping her clients navigate exposure to fraud, corruption, and financial crime and employee misconduct. Before moving to Switzerland, Penelope spent 15 years living and working in the Far East with firms such as EY, Deloitte, Kroll, or Cordamenta. She graduated with a bachelor degree in commerce and went on to pursue her master degree in audit. Penelope, thank you very much for joining me and for supporting our reflection series.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you for having me and for this introduction.
To start with, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you got here today? And what were some pivotal moments for you in your life?
So when I studied at university, I didn't really know what I wanted to do as I grew up, but I knew I wanted to travel, and I wanted to be independent financially. These were my two drivers at the beginning, and that's why I initially studied to become an internal auditor, because when you're an internal auditor, you get to see a lot of countries, a lot of departments, how a company works, and so that fulfilled my initial goals. And then, as I developed, realized that I needed to acquire further skills, and I saw the opportunity to join a Big Four at the time, and I thought it would be an amazing ground to further develop myself as a professional. So I joined at the time EY in Paris, and I moved to Singapore. I had an opportunity to move to Singapore and with EY and followed them there, and then slowly I discovered what type of work I like to do, and that's where I ventured and I changed towards doing more helping companies who are faced with challenges around financial crime, employee misconduct, and helping them through those difficult times. This became my real objective, or you could even say my passion, and that's what's driven my career after that. Um, and so I stayed in Singapore for 15 years. I had the opportunity to set up the offices along other partners of smaller firms, but very interesting firms in Southeast Asia. And a few years ago, I had the opportunity to move back to Europe and arrived in Switzerland 6 years ago. And I'm with A&M only for a little bit over a year, enjoying it very much. Part of the adventure of setting up the A&M offices in Geneva and Zurich. So it's been a year now, and it's great.
Amazing. Thank you very much for walking us through your background. And I'm sure our audience can very much relate to your passionate topic about being independent. That's really great, and I think very inspirational for very much young women. You have, as you mentioned, you have had so many and so much of international experience being based in Europe as well as in Asia. Tell us about your experience about being female leader in the places with different culture.
I don't know whether there's a difference as a woman. In both cases, whether you're in Europe or whether you're in Asia, you're still a minority in the workplace, or at least in professional services firm from a certain level. The added challenge for me in Asia was I was also Caucasian from a different culture background. So I don't know whether my differences were due to my different culture or due to the fact that I was a woman. But I think we all, in a leader, whichever the country, I still believe needs to have the same characteristics and display the same type of attributes, right? You need to have a vision, you need to recruit well, bring your people with you, develop them, trust them, walk the talk, be genuine, and so all these attributes as a leader, whether you're a man or woman, and I think they apply to wherever you are. I think in this world, the only thing is that you adjust to your team or to your clients depending, of course, on the geography, on the industry, and also, of course, as a woman, you tend to do things a bit differently. But I, I um, I could not change myself in being a different woman leader in one region and another. I would shift a few things, be more sensitive to certain topics, but I think overall I remain the same. I think it's difficult to be drastically different from one region to another, and you still in both regions you're a minority somehow. So you have to show them it is possible that women can be in these positions and find a way to crack it, to gain the trust of your team, of your peers, and of your clients. It's the same, I think.
Yeah, I think that's actually what I can very much relate to. I think business is business, and you need to have the trust. You need to have the right team. You must have dedication of yourself as well as of your team members
I'm
to make
sure you have
sure
the same
to
experience
strive for the best.
in the region you're living in than I've had. So it would be interesting to get your views also.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's actually very nice question. I think for us and what we are keeping discussing with other guests of Reflection series is being in Middle East and doing business in Middle East is very nice experience. Of course, it's an international market. And as you mentioned, it is very similar being in Europe, being in Asia, being in Middle East. And what we keep hearing, and what is also my experience at the end, is the fact that I never came across any issue, any prejudice, any discrimination, and actually, on contrary, I may actually honestly say that women are very strongly supported in Middle East region, in Middle East market, and actually, it would be probably our former colleagues or friends or family from other parts of the world that would be questioning our position being in Middle East, but that's exactly opposite of what we are experiencing here.
Good to hear. That's great.
Definitely, definitely. um, Getting back to your amazing story, as and you mentioned that at A&M you set up dispute and investigation practice in Switzerland. So what was that experience like, and what skills did you learn from this experience?
Well, I'm still learning. We're at the beginning of the journey. And when I made my business plan, and it was before COVID, so I had a very different plan that I actually rolled out potentially. But it's been great. When we managed to transition super quickly, and I think it's the entire A&M to working from home, serving our clients like instantly, thanks to an amazing also IT infrastructure in our firm, and the team's been great. It looked like very seamless, which was amazing. However, on where it's still what has required more creativity, let's say, it's more the business development. How do you do business development in this new world, digital world, when you're in a not a startup, but you're building a new business. So this has required a lot of creativity from all of us in the team, and a bit the approach I think the tech startups would do. It's like try fast, fail fast, try a lot of things. No one has the recipe, so you can try a lot, and as long as the firm around you, the people around you trust you that you're doing the best, and A&M has been like that. It's so that's sometimes I had the impression I was in a tech startup from that perspective. But other things I've learned is like, yeah, you challenge yourself constantly, even more than in your in potentially in previous time, and the cohesion of the team, the fact that we had a similar vision of what we wanted to do and achieve, that is making the difference, and I believe will make the difference, and is a great lesson from this past year plus that I've
Def-
been with A&M.
no, definitely, and I think again those are very similar topics we keep hearing from other guests. in our series. Last year was disruption. Last year we had to be innovative. Last year we had to adjust to new reality. We had to take care of our clients as well as of our employees. So thank you very much for sharing your point of view, because it's very similar feedback we are getting from the market. When we spoke some time ago, we discussed difference between men and women in the workplace when it comes to the promotion and moving through the ranks. In your experience, what have you seen that men and women actually do differently when they are seeking the promotion?
A few traits. I think they also apply to me at the not but potentially throughout my career, but most part is that men, I realized at some stage when they get a new role or a promotion, they're already thinking of the next one. So they kind of, if you think that you have 2-3 years in a role in professional service firm, for example, before you get a promotion or a new role, they have 2-3 years to, yes, they're focusing on their work, on their current work, but they're already thinking of the next one. So they're building the network accordingly, trying to understand what skill sets are needed for that next job and trying to develop those skill sets, etc. So they're quite forward looking. While, and I'm generalizing, so please don't, but a lot of women, we would more look at, if I do my job properly and I'm super good at what I'm doing, then promotion will automatically come.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the real world, we all realize that it's not exactly like that. And first you have to identify and you have to ask. It's as basic as that. You have to plan ahead and think, where do I see myself, or what kind of I see myself in 2-3 years, and not design a plan, but try and think of what I would need to achieve that. You might change your mind during the way, but at least you have an idea, and then you communicate about it. You get mentors to help you do along the way. And I think women a lot of time we don't do that enough, and we don't ask. It's whether it's for a promotion, for a salary increase, we have to ask. And then when we are offered a role, I've seen some women who were offered amazing roles and would turn them down, or would question themselves a lot, not go for it. Is it a question of self-confidence? Is it a question of introspection, asking ourselves too much, or being too tough on ourselves? I don't know, but a man will just go for it. I mean, again, I'm generalizing, because you might have both cases but you'll see that trend more in women than in men. I see in the more junior people who are growing through the ranks, even today. That's been my experience. So I'm always saying, just you have to ask, and you have to think what you want, and you have to ask for it.
Perfect. So I think in a summary, basically being active and lead your way, lead your path, lead your career, and take ownership, right? I think this is what we need to make sure that is out there, and the young, aspiring female actually hear this message. Thank you very much for sharing this point of view. Very interesting. You are mother to 3 sons, and you told me that you had many discussions with them about role of women in business. What can actually parents do to help raise the next generation of men to support women?
That's an eternal question around the table at home, where I'm the only woman representative so far. And it's true that sometimes I say, well, I have an enormous responsibility, as I'm bringing 3 sons into the world, and who better behave and have and on the other hand, they need to see that there's no one model, and it's about giving them the choices, that they understand that a man can decide to work, a couple can both have careers, one can step back at one point in their career, etc., and that it's having choices and building your life around that, and respecting the choice of everyone. There's no one model that fits all. So it's about respect and education, and deciding what is important to you. But and then when they launch some stereotypes around the table around gender differences, I'm the one that stands on the table to tell them, no, look, this example, and why do you think it's this, etc. So it makes for interesting conversations.
I'm sure it does. And having such wonderful family with three sons, how do you actually manage and balance motherhood and your career with such an impressive history?
I do not. I do like all the mothers. I feel guilt, and I do as best as I can. No, but I think it's so different from one country to another, from the type of work you do, and from the type of boss also and environment you have. I've been very lucky to have very let's say I would say mature bosses around me when I really had the kids very young who understood. I remember very well when I had my first kid. Of course, I was very working very long hours, traveling a lot, and I realized that this was not going to be happening after a first kid. Otherwise, I would not see him grow up. So I thought of, before coming back to work after maternity leave, I thought for myself, okay, what could I do to make it work for myself and for the company and for the rest of the team? And I was a manager at the time. In the professional service, and I went to see my partner at the firm I was working for, and I told him, okay, I said, here, I've been thinking it through, etc. And he was great. He said, yeah, I like your plan. Seems to me it's gonna work. Let's try it. And I communicated to the rest of the team so they would know why I would be changing and leaving at 6, but p.m. but then picking up again at 8 p.m. Anyway, I was in Asia. There was the time difference with the rest of Europe and the US, and how I was getting organized. And it was the first one to do it, and it worked super well. But it's about, I think it's all about, you have to make it work for yourself, and you have to discuss it with others, because we all have different needs and the way we see how our work-life balance would work, whether we're mothers, whether we have another passion, whether we're training as an athlete, whatever the reason might be. And we have to be transparent about it, discuss it with our bosses, and then just not try to hide, and usually it will work. I mean, it will work, at least okay-ish.
Okay.
Even though sometimes there are some panics at home, that glad we are two raising kids and that I'm not a single mom.
No, for sure, for sure. I think that and that probably can be summary of what you're saying. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? So if you wouldn't be proactive and discuss with your partner how you can actually make work-life balance, combining amazing career and motherhood. If you wouldn't ask, you wouldn't get. So I think it's again another important message for the audience. Be active, don't be afraid to ask, and lead your path forward.
Yeah, and it's the other way around for people in leadership position to trust. We need to trust our people. We recruit amazing professionals, and therefore we have to trust them that they also go through the same thought process and come up with great ways of managing both. And it's about trusting the people we recruit and we work with. I think
Definitely.
that's also quite important, and that's why I was also lucky that I had bosses that who were thinking that way when I needed the most.
Mhm, mhm. No, definitely, it is about close cooperation and trust. I think
Hmm.
we discuss it between juniors, middle management, as well as seniors, because at the end there is ultimate goal, which is to have successful career, uh, do extra mile for the client, deliver the best job we
Yeah.
can as a
Hmm.
team. So at the end, the ultimate goal is just to make it work, right?
Yeah.
Penelope, before we close our interview, I cannot omit to ask the last question. What advice would you give to younger women and men that are just starting their careers?
Um, I, I would say maybe it's to try and build something I potentially didn't do early enough. It's to build your own network, whether it's not only for to sell or to, it's also for your own career. Not hesitate to find your unofficial mentors or people that you would seek advice from, run ideas, or and that's important. And that network helps you with that when of informal mentoring. Sometimes you, depending on the company, you might even have a formal mentorship, but it can be inside your company, outside, but that you nurture that network who also become fan of yourself, who all support you, but also motivate you because they believe in you and give you great advice. For me, what is super important is never to cut corners, be super genuine and walk your talk, right? It's very important. But yeah, you don't need, I think you don't need a career plan. Some people will have a career plan and will follow it. Some others will more be in, I didn't have really a career plan, but I had a lot of opportunities and I seized them. And my career was built on a lot of opportunities or people trusting me and providing me some opportunities. So there's no one model. So you have to see what works for you and be go outside your comfort zone. I mean, it's from there's best time to do it is when you're young, right? To try different things and slowly build yourself as a well-rounded professional, whatever your career path you're choosing. And so that would be my and try and keep smiling and in fun in what you do, because that's also very important.
Absolutely. At the end, we spend so much time at work that it will be good to not only have learning curve and go extra mile, but also have some fun along
Yeah,
the way.
having a bit of a purpose while you're doing this, but also doing it so either it's to develop yourself or to help people, whatever your purpose might be, and then enjoy it while you're doing it. That's the perfect combination.
Wonderful, wonderful. Penelope, thank you very much for your story, sharing it with us, for being open, and for some very wise words and advices. So thank you for so much for joining us, and I will be looking forward speaking later.
Thank you. You've been for you being a great interviewer. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you.